All right. So you're about to listen to the podcast of Mad Zach, the Nightcrawler, who is me. Oh God, I just woke up. I should have thought about what I was gonna say. Basically, what I was gonna say before you listen to it is that I don't know if I was too afraid to say this. This is the best comic book movie ever. Logan is the best comic book movie ever made, and I don't say anything bad or negative about it. I just think that I was a little apprehensive about saying it. I believe on the podcast to say that The Dark Knight is unequivocally the best comic book movie ever, but I completely retract that statement. It's Logan. It is fucking Logan all the way. I even go so far as to say that no comic book movie has ever transcended the source material. This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. It's a perfect action movie. It's the ultimate knife fight movie in the entire universe. And I just want to make that statement up above that I should have had the balls to say, well, it took another rewatch, really. This shit's a modern masterpiece. Logan is a modern masterwork, and yeah, it's the best comic book movie ever. And I wish I said that on the podcast. And also, we've gotten us a little bit, not a lot, just a tiny bit of backlash about how harsh we were with certain movies. All I can say about that is sorry, not sorry. This is how we feel. If we take a big shit on your favorite comic book movie, then maybe your favorite comic book movie sucks. I don't know. But yeah, I just had to take this time at the beginning to go, Logan, a masterpiece, a masterwork, regardless of whether or not it's a comic book movie. I think that's what's so brilliant about it. It doesn't matter that it's just such a fucking good movie. So good. One of my favorite movies of the decade so far, and we're already in 2017. It's going to make it to my top 10 of the decade because it's that fucking sweet. And I guess when I recorded the podcast, it was before it was released, so last time I saw it was a couple months before that in theaters. And maybe if I had watched it more recently, I would have had, I would have felt more confident saying that it was so good. But that's why I'm taking the time out right here to say that this here, Logan, best comic book movie ever, transcends the source material, and it's a modern masterwork. Now, without further ado, here is the Nightcrawler podcast, where we will most likely tear apart your favorite comic book movies. All right, welcome to the Nightcrawler podcast. I am Zach, and this is my friend Crazy Craig. And today we're going to talk about comic book movies, since, they've been all the rage for, 15, 20, 10 years now, as far as I can remember.
Since the early 2000s.
Since the early 2000s.
A young teenager.
So I got a list of comic book franchises and just regular comic book movies. We're going to go down them, and we're gonna kind of talk about whether or not they were good or decent, what makes a good comic book movie, that kind of deal. We're going to start with one that actually started in the early 2000s. We're going to start with the X-Men franchise.
Yeah.
What did you think of the X-Men franchise, Craig?
I don't remember too much about, the early films, and I stopped really caring when every movie that came out was just about Wolverine, because it wasn't even X-Men movies anymore. They were all just Wolverine movies.
Well, they split them up. I mean, you got X-Men 1, X-Men 2, X-Men 3, but then you'd have the Wolverine, his own trilogy started going with Origins, and then the Wolverine, and then Logan.
Yeah, but even if you think about all the X-Men movies that had all the other characters, it's still centered around Wolverine.
You can say that about a lot of the comics, though, too, and the animated television show. And look at the cast, really. I mean, in my opinion, Hugh Jackman was the most charismatic and energetic out of the entire cast of X-Men.
I feel like they really did, they didn't do Cyclops any justice.
I feel like Cyclops never gets any justice, and especially since they cast James Marsden as Cyclops.
I don't know what that is.
If you've seen the show Westworld on HBO, or he's been in quite a few things, but he's always the word cuck or something is thrown around so much, but he's always his girlfriend's always fucking someone else, or like really wants to fuck someone else. Like that's always his character. He's always getting fucked over like that, and that's exactly what happens with Cyclops.
Yeah.
And I just think that's really Westworld like brings that to poetic levels of like, oh, this is hard to watch because he just plays like a robot who gets killed like every day, and then like his girl gets like raped. Like that's his thing that happens to him every single day of his life.
That sounds fantastic.
So he's got that playing. He's got that roll down to a T. But I mean, let's not just swipe Hugh Jackman like under the rug here. I thought he was a fantastic Wolverine, regardless of whether or not he got too much.
Oh yeah, like no one else would fit the role.
And I'd say the best X-Men movie was the last one at this point. It was a Logan. I would say that was the best. It's fantastic.
I've heard really good things
about it. I won't ruin anything for you other than that. Possibly the best Fox Star Wars. Probably the best Fox superhero movie to this point. The best non-Marvel or non-DC superhero movie. I actually probably think it's better than any of the Marvel movies. Probably the best Marvel movie.
I'd have to assume that a big factor that probably plays into it is they kind of strayed away from, restricting themselves. Like, it wasn't rated R?
It was rated R, yeah. They followed in the Deadpool footsteps of like, oh, we can make an R-rated superhero movie
I think Deadpool was pretty good.
I never liked the Deadpool character, and I've also never liked Ryan Reynolds, the movie figure. So I actually never watched it because the Deadpool character just annoys me. Those kids with all their little like Deadpool hoodies and shit, like it's always been so annoying to me. I'm not impressed by breaking the fourth wall, and this is just not something that impresses me.
I'm not either. The movie was literally just fun. I'm not impressed.
I'm sure it was fun.
I'm not impressed by Deadpool as a character.
Just when people came away talking about it, like they would say things like, "Oh yeah, but he makes fun of himself. Like he sees Ryan Reynolds on the cover of a magazine and makes fun." Like that's not something that interests me. Or even the trailer for Deadpool 2 that just went around with him like changing in a phone booth, and it was just kind of nauseatingly too Deadpool-y and too Ryan. I guess if you're a fan of Deadpool, then it's right up your alley there, but never liked Deadpool. So I kind of just stayed away from that movie. Heard it was good. Heard it was decent. Let's talk about the Superman movies and not Man of Steel. The Christopher Reeves ones from back in the day. You familiar with those?
I can't say that I am. I might have seen them like when they came out, but...
Well, they have like a 2 out of 4 complex going on there. The first 2 are decent, and the last 2 were terrible. 3, of course, co-stars Richard Pryor, and 4 is like it's called like The Quest for Peace. It's got like a Power Man or Atomic Man. It's known as one of the most awful movies on the face of the earth. But Superman 2 is really good. It's got General Zod as played by Terrence Stamp, and of course Gene Hackman reprising his role as Lex, and Margot Kidder will always be the best Lois Lane. That's a really magical moment.
Are we talking about like the
70s and 80s
movies? Okay, the one where he flies around the world and reverses time.
Yeah, that was the first movie.
Okay.
Pretty charming movie.
I remember that.
Adapted for the screen by Mario Puzo, actually. Mario Puzo wrote the Godfather novels. So that's interesting to see like that happen. And the first movie as well, we got Marlon Brando playing Jor-El, his father. So, I mean, that's pretty good. It's if we're talking about ultimate templates for future comic book movies, I feel that we could still learn quite a bit from Richard Donner's original Superman movies. At least the charm of them, the easygoing charm that found their way into both children and adults' hearts, hasn't aged too well, but the charisma is still there. So let's just move on to Spider-Man, the Tobey Maguire franchise.
I'm mixed up on those. A lot of people say that Tobey Maguire was the best Spider-Man out of all the ones that have been made so far.
Yeah, I'm impressed by this new kid, actually.
You're talking about the one from the Civil War movie?
Yeah, Civil War and Homecoming. He looks good to me.
I mean, from what I've seen of him in Civil War, it seems all right. I can't say that I loved... what was it? Andrew Garfield? Is that his name?
I don't like Andrew Garfield at all. I like him in the Social Network movie, but I think he's far too pretty to be Spider-Man. Far too charming. He's far too the opposite of what I think Peter Parker should be.
I can agree with that for sure. But as far as Tobey Maguire movies go, like, I feel like the third one should have never existed. It was so bad.
The third one's a piece of shit, and you can tell that Sam Raimi did not want to be making that Spider-Man movie. He had no interest in Venom. He had no interest in the Todd McFarlane, like, 90s era of comic books. He had no idea how to use Venom. He didn't give a shit about Venoms. That's why we got Topher Grace as a fucking weak-ass, pansy-ass Venom. And the Sandman was a terrible villain to choose as well, and I don't think built any sort of relationship with the audience. Thomas Hayden Church is a very perplexing decision.
It really felt like, with that movie, this is my take on it. It was like, the Hobgoblin was what the movie was about, and then they just were like, well, we also want to sell these two characters.
Well, it was about the new Goblin. He wasn't even the Hobgoblin.
They didn't even call him that, did they? But that's
that's not who he is in the comic books.
No.
When Harry actually becomes the Goblin, he's just called the New Goblin. Hobgoblin's like a fashion designer. He's like a totally different character.
Oh, you're right. I remember looking into that. Yeah, you're completely right.
I mean, it is canon in the books that his son does become a Goblin, but I think he just called himself the New Goblin, something, or just the Green Goblin again. Like he just goes crazy and rides it for a little bit. But third movie shouldn't have happened, especially it gets overwhelmingly embarrassing to watch when he originally gets the alien symbiote costume and turns into risque Tobey Maguire.
Yeah,
you've seen all those memes now, like
it's so bad.
Him dancing, but I'm a huge fan of cheesy action movies or just action movies in general, so I do still kind of like the very first Spider-Man movie, if for nothing else than seeing Willem Dafoe chew more scenery than Jack Nicholson did in Batman. Like, Willem Dafoe just lets the Green Goblin have it. He just goes to town on that role and gives it 120% so far as I'm concerned. The first one is still pretty fun for the most part.
I thought the first one was pretty good. The second one,
people are still calling one of the best superhero movies ever made, and I find it more cringy than good, to be perfectly honest.
Like, Doc Ock is...
Alfred Molina did a good job as Doc Ock, I'm not saying.
That guy just seems like a good actor in general.
Oh, he's just a great actor.
But
Alfred Molina's fantastic.
Yeah, I don't really have any real complaints about Doc Ock. I'm trying to remember.
My complaints are more about Kirsten Dunst and like every other subplot, and there were quite a few in Spider-Man 2 that didn't have to do with Doc Ock. Doc Ock was the only interesting thing to me about the movie, but they still turned it into a 2.5-hour movie with all these other, how many times do you have to watch Tobey Maguire quit being Spider-Man? Kind of just fucking nauseating.
Oh, yeah, he was losing his powers, right?
Yeah, something like that. I remember he keeps throwing away his goddamn costume. But that was a failed series. Let's talk about the current Marvel Universe as a whole right now. Starting with Iron Man, going all the way up to here. To be perfectly honest, I lost interest after the first Avengers movie. I followed these 5 or 6 movies or whatever to this point. I'm not signing on for another 20, personally. I'm not that easily entertained. It's like we allow this... They all follow the same formula. It was completely apparent in all of their, number 1 movies, Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, even the Avengers. And we allowed that formula to happen to bring us to the Avengers moment. And then we're just easily entertained by the same exact formula over and over again. And I'm just not impressed anymore. I can't watch the same fucking movie 20 times. I can't do it.
Yeah, I hear that.
They found a formula that works, and they're applying it to other things like Star Wars, and it's just shitty. It's just fucking nauseating.
I feel like out of all the Marvel films that led up to the Avengers, the best one was easily Iron Man 1.
Easily Iron Man 1. Without a doubt, Iron Man 1.
Like, that one was so good.
Which is interesting because
it stands alone.
Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 are both terrible, so far as I'm concerned. Those are terrible,
3 was definitely bad.
3 was the worst bait and switch I've ever seen done to an audience that has made your franchise gold. We're gonna give you a kind of cool sounding Mandarin and literally make him to be an overwhelmingly feminine fake actor. And give you Guy Pearce as like American Patriot or some bullshit instead. Iron Man 1, excellent. Not only was it the creation of the formula, but it was also, really powerful performance by like Jeff Bridges and Robert Downey Jr. finally making the ultimate comeback that his career deserved. I didn't think there were too many bad ones in that first wave. We didn't really need a Hulk movie, and Edward Norton was back when he was extremely uninteresting
I've
to watch.
seen the Hulk movie. The first thing I saw of the Hulk was literally the Avengers.
Mark Ruffalo did a very good job as the Hulk in the Avengers.
He seemed to do a really good job.
The actual movie itself, I do remember Tim Roth was fun to watch as the Abomination. The first Captain America was fun. It was all right. Liked Hugo Weaving as the Red Skull.
Wasn't the second one better?
Everyone says it was better, but it doesn't matter. It's essentially you're watching the same kind of movie over again. It's like the same fucking movie. It's gonna hit the same beats. You're obviously gonna like it. It's gonna hit the same exact beats the other one did because that one worked. So you're obviously gonna like it. But yeah. So Marvel movies kind of afraid to take chances. I think they found a formula that works. They're gonna follow it through, beat that cash cow dry. They're doing the same exact formula for Star Wars, and audiences don't seem to care because they like their little receptors hit in the same exact way. And here's a franchise that refuses to learn from past mistakes, and it's the modern DC universe, which I've only seen Man of Steel because Man of Steel was actually bad enough to turn me off of the entire thing, and everything I've heard of Batman versus Superman or Suicide Squad just looked like, Hot Topic threw up all over itself in some kind of like hissy fit. It looks like a terrible series. If you're gonna have Zack Snyder at the helm of your universe, I think he's one of the worst filmmakers ever. And I'm really not on board. Are you on board for the DC cinematic universe at this point?
I would assume I'd have to say no because, like you, I've only seen Man of Steel, and I don't remember hating Man of Steel, but I don't remember like having a reason to go back to it either.
Yeah, and you also didn't think like, oh, this is fun. I want to watch 30 more of these.
No, and the whole fight at the end where they like just destroyed a city was so awkward for me because
exactly.
That's
it's like
not
they tried to do it like
all.
They try to do like what Christopher Nolan can do, like kind of just a suspension of belief with comic book movies of just messing with your perception of reality. Batman drives through a tunnel and it's daytime, comes out the other end and it's nighttime, and in your mind you don't associate that it was just daytime on the other end of it. Whereas there, it's like on a bigger scale of trying to make you think. Like don't think about all the innocent people dying. Don't think about all the buildings crashing because you're so swept up in the action. Like no, you're not that talented of a filmmaker. We're seeing all of your mistakes, all of your stupid decisions, Zack Snyder. And Batman versus Superman was like a response to, I think, criticism he wasn't aware he was going to get. Personally. We can just move on because DC Cinematic Universe is a pile of dog shit. To the two Hellboy movies. Did you like those?
I can't say. Sadly, I haven't got to watch them. They're rebooting them though.
Yeah, rebooting them. R-rated. Guillermo del Toro, who directed the original two, is not involved. They kept entertaining his idea of a third one until Mike Mignola, the creator of Hellboy, just basically said no. Going to reboot it with some no-name as Hellboy is going to be a failure. So far as the original two Hellboy movies are concerned, the first one was good. The first one was a good movie. Had Guillermo del Toro written all over it, but it also had, Mignola written all over it. It was a good marriage of the two aesthetics. Whereas number two, he was battling elves, and it just felt like Pan's Labyrinth with an action movie involved with it. It was way too del Toro and not enough of the actual Hellboy lore involved in it, but the first one was very good. Yeah, he was fighting evil elves in number two, who like formed the Golden Army. The first one was great. I think he was fighting, like Nazi Rasputin or something crazy like that. It was really fun, really good, of course. It's a good movie. It's always fun to see Selma Blair too. She's pretty cute. And then how about Constantine? Remember Constantine with Keanu Reeves, Rachel Weisz, Peter Stormare, and Tilda Swinton?
Okay, so I don't know anything about Constantine other than that movie, and
Did you like the movie?
I enjoyed the movie.
The movie was really fun, in my opinion. I thought it was great. I thought Keanu Reeves was insanely fun. It's not that far removed from the comic books. I mean, he first appeared in Alan Moore Swamp Thing comic book as a chain-smoking exorcist, essentially. So, I mean, that's essentially what he is in the movie as well. Even Shia LaBeouf couldn't ruin that movie. And he's like his short round through the whole thing. I thought it was really fun, really good, different. I mean, pretty sure that was R-rated too, before this whole wave. And it also came out before comic book movies were taken seriously, and it took itself seriously and maintained a pretty good attitude throughout the whole thing.
Now, this is something that my friend likes to praise a lot. It's like his favorite comic book to live action done right kind of movie, and it was the Blade series.
I love the Blade series. Actually, I only like the first two. The third one's a pile of garbage. Hope your friend doesn't like the Blade Trinity. It's an awful movie.
Know.
Blade 1, I really like. It's really fun. So far as adaptation goes, I don't consider them comic book adaptations.
I don't know if you would necessarily say adaptation or not, but like, you know, take a comic book character, make it into a movie.
Yeah, but Blade, it's not Tomb of the Dracula, though. It's not like actual Blade from the comic books. It's just two really decent action movies. The first one's really good. He battles Deacon Frost, played by Stephen Dorff. Has great sword fights, awesome techno rave Dracula dance bullshit going on. It's like house music, and it's a really well-made movie. Blade 2, Guillermo del Toro, we just talked about him, made Hellboy 1 and 2. He made Blade 2, and made it pretty fun. The CGI didn't age too well since then. Blade Trinity is a Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel piece of shit movie with Triple H in it or some shit.
But we could go off topic with CGI. CGI just doesn't age well in general.
But it's kind of awkward for a Guillermo del Toro movie not to age well, because one of the things he prides himself on and that I find really good about his movies are the effects involved, practical, and CGI. And they did not age well with Blade 2. The figures look like they're rubber, like bouncing back and forth with each other. But he had Ron Perlman in Chrono, so it wasn't his first Ron Perlman movie, but he was also in Hellboy 2 as part of the Blood Pact. I remember seeing Blade 2. I hope I was saying Blade 2 this whole time and not Hellboy 2. I remember seeing Blade 2 in theaters when I was like a kid. I think that movie might have came out in like 2002, and like saw it really late. And I'm like, oh, this is so gory and R, and just it was so cool to be into those movies when you were a kid, because it was an action movie, but it was also scary. If you were watching as a 9-year-old, I think Blade came out in 99 or 2000 or 98 even, probably. The first two Blade movies, awesome. I'm more of a Wesley Snipes fan. I watch them more as Wesley Snipes movies than as comic book movies, because they're not Tomb of the Dracula. They're not the 70s or 80s Blade that we know from the books. It's just Wesley Snipes finally getting an excellent film series to himself, because he really didn't have that before. And just great Wesley Snipes movies. Not really great comic book movies, just awesome. You want sword fights, you want blood, you want gore, you want lore. There you go. You want explosions?
I've always been into that character, I guess you could say. I don't even know if I would say archetype, because it's more of the aesthetic of the character. And
Blade was next on my list.
Oh, you had Blade on there. Oh, wow. So I actually, like, that was a nice segue then, because it was just... But, no, like, the whole, badass black guy with the biker glasses looking thing with, like, I've just always been into that aesthetic.
Oh, so. I mean, who hasn't been? It's one of the tried and true staples of action films. And there's something really actually still like magical about the first one. Stephen Dorff and Wesley Snipes facing off against each other in the park. I mean, every time they have a scene together, that was perfect casting. You really get the feeling of hero and nemesis. One of the things I love action movies about is an action movie is only as good as its villain. Same with an action hero is only as good as its villain. And Blade 1 had something really magical going for it. It's Steven Dorff's best role by a long shot.
That's why it's so weird that they fucked up so many Batman and Superman movies, because if you want to talk about good villains, like, those are the characters to go to.
Batman's actually next on the list. We want to hop in there and just start with the two Michael Keaton movies, the two Tim Burton movies.
The Tim Burton movies were great if you go into them.
I personally think that Batman '89 is what I consider to be the best. It's not the best Batman movie. My favorite Batman movie is The Dark Knight, but I think that it's the best adaptation of the comic book world that I know of on the TV screen. That's the closest to what I want to see a Batman like in posturing, in aesthetics, in mood, in atmosphere. Is Batman '89. I want it to be kind of gothic, but I want it to be cartoonish at the same exact time. I want it to be self-aware and also grim.
Which one is that?
Like, that's with Jack Nicholson as the Joker and Kim Basinger as forget her fucking name, Vicky Vale. Michael Keaton obviously was Batman in that one. Did you see that one?
I might not have.
Oh my god, we might have to stop this podcast right now so you can go watch it. And it's also my favorite Tim Burton movie, better than both Beetlejuice and Ed Wood, as far as I'm concerned. Batman '89 is an excellent movie. Doesn't follow the lore too well at all, but I don't give a shit because the atmosphere is so perfect, and it looks so good, and it feels to me the way Batman should feel. It feels like Batman the Animated Series to me.
What's crazy is, like, I can remember so many villains from so many of those movies. Like, I remember Poison Ivy, I remember Dr. Freeze, I remember...
This one had, like, famous scenes of Jack Nicholson dancing around the Prince and vandalizing, like, museum paintings. He throws money all up in the air with his face on it or some shit, and, like, laughing gas, like, kills everybody.
Nope, that sounds very iconic, and I don't remember it, so obviously I've
never
seen the movie.
Shit.
I feel bad, because, like, I must have seen... Was there 3 of them?
There are only 2 Tim Burton Batmans.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They must have jam-packed a lot of villains into one movie.
And in Batman Returns, they jam-packed Max Schreck, as played by Christopher Walken, the Penguin DeVito, and Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman into one movie, and made Batman a side character in his own sequel. Did you see Batman Returns?
Well, okay, so I remember Batman and Robin. Is that a different...
That's number 4. That's not the same director either. Those are the Joel Schumacher Batmans where everything went downhill. You really have to see the Tim Burton Batman movies.
I guess so.
Batman Returns, not too good. It still looks great, looks phenomenal. It's nowhere near Batman '89 good. But
I do remember the big one, though.
You have to rewatch those movies. They're very good. They're very fun, and I think that they're the closest to what I want the mood of a Batman movie and the spirit of one to be. And then after that, we get Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Joel Schumacher from Lost Boys fame took the reins of the series and drove it into the homoerotic, overly cartoonish send-off to the 60s television show starring Adam West and Burt Young. Bat nipples. It made it terrible. Made it awful. In fact, the first one you got the Riddler and Two-Face, which is Tommy Lee Jones doing a Jack Nicholson impersonation, and Jim Carrey just Ace Ventura through the entire movie, and Chris O'Donnell being a horrible, horrible Robin, Nicole Kidman being like a way over-sexual therapist. Like, she's the one who had fucking problems throughout that entire movie. Like, just that it's shocking how Batman Forever and Batman and Robin even got made as movies at all. They're so overwhelmingly bad. I can't even honestly talk about Batman and Robin right now. I mean, people always like to say that Batman Forever is okay, but it's only relatively passable because of how terrible Batman and Robin is. But if we didn't have Batman and Robin, Batman Forever would be everyone would agree it's a piece of shit. They're both piece of shit movies. They're both awful. Batman and Robin is just a more amplified version of Batman Forever, and they're both just fucking terrible. And we just should move on from that to the Christian Bale and Christopher Nolan series that really did save. I think comic book movies in general. Batman Begins being a really earnest starting point into quite maybe one of the best sequels ever made, and certainly I think the strongest comic book movie that will ever be made, The Dark Knight. Incredible performances, incredible film. My favorite director of all time, my favorite American director of all time is most likely Michael Mann. And watching The Dark Knight is, they essentially took the Heat dynamic or Miami Vice dynamic of Michael Mann and applied it to the superhero world. He took a crime epic and just put it in the Batman universe, and strong Michael Mann influence, and you get The Dark Knight. So it was just perfect for me. It's perfect. What did you think of the first two Nolan movies?
It's definitely something I'm gonna have to go back to. I do remember the movies, but I also remember I was going through a phase when those movies came out. I was going through that whole, if it's popular, I'm just going to refuse to like it phases. And but I don't remember disliking movies.
Dark Knight had one of my favorite theater experiences. We saw it with my friend IMAX, like sneak preview, everyone cheering. It was fucking gorgeous to watch. You got Stanley Kubrick's The Killing coming at you right before Michael Mann through that was amazing. It was really amazing, really good.
Remember the Joker was.
Oh yeah, Heath Ledger did a fantastic Tom Waits impression and stole the show.
That's not my preferred version of Joker as a character.
Is it Mark Hamill?
No, I don't know. I would have to go to like the actual comic books or some of the animated movies that came out to really say what Joker I like. But I can't pinpoint one. It's just that's not the Joker I'm used to. I'm used to the Joker being like this, just.
But no other
really,
Joker would have worked in this universe.
No. This is a really dark universe. So I'm saying that character was fantastic, even if it wasn't the Joker to me. It was still a fantastic character. Like, I can look past that kind of stuff. Like it doesn't matter to me. You can recreate a character into something else and envision it in your light. And I will still appreciate it for what you're creating, even if it's not what I went in with expectation.
The Dark Knight is an excellent comic book movie, but still miles away from how great Heat was, which is the movie it lovingly, depends on who you are, rips off or pays tender homage to. Still worlds away from Heat. So comic book movies still have a long way to go in terms of mastery. So let's move on from there, even though we could talk about The Dark Knight Rises, the Tom Hardy Bane movie.
I never saw it.
Had a lot of problems in it, but
I never saw that one. The last one I saw was with like Two-Face, and that's it.
That was The Dark Knight.
Yeah, so
fantastic Aaron Eckhart performance. Dark Knight Rises, best part about it was Tom Hardy, who's essentially belittled to a henchman by the time the movie ends, but he's a fantastic villain. You're actually pretty scared of him because he's so fucking murderous. And but that's about it. There are a lot of problems with The Dark Knight Rises. Not a good way to end it. Not very satisfying end.
I used to follow a lot of like nerdy like YouTube channels, and I remember that movie turning to way more skits than any of the other movies, and like that passively means it's bad. Because those people that made those skits probably wouldn't actively tell you that those movies are bad.
Oh, yeah.
But if you can make that many funny skits off of it, it's probably the worst one.
It is definitely the worst one. There is so much not to like about it. I'm telling you, the only thing to like about it is Tom Hardy. It's the only thing to like about it. And even then, that's where you get the bulk of your skits, is his ridiculous bullshit Sean Connery voice. Which I think works, but it's laughable. It's a very laughable voice. I don't know why they let him do that. But his physicality, his intensity, his performance overall is still very scary, very good, very intense. Still.
I still haven't seen the movie, so I can't really say. But was it actually Bane, or was it like?
It was the closest thing we've ever gotten to live action Bane. Most people will tell you it's pseudo Bane because they want the luchador mask and they want the venom or some shit. But If you read, Chuck Dixon's Vengeance of Bane, like his introduction, that is the same origin as this Bane. This Bane is incredibly close to the comic books, just not in appearance. I don't want him wearing a luchador mask though, and I don't want him to be some roid freak monster boy. But he has the same exact origin as the regular Bane. He wants the same things that regular Bane has, and in the comics as well, he's been in bed with the League of Shadows or League of Assassins. So, I mean, it's very, very close to the Bane from the comic books. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They're just being um, unreasonably purist.
Oh, okay.
It was very close. I'm a huge Bane from the comic books fan, so when I saw him on screen actually doing Bane things and talking about Bane pasts, actually seeing the prison that he grew up in, I was like, oh, this is awesome. If you're a Bane fan, fuck yeah. But then Bane fans actually didn't like it. And I was like, you guys are fucking overspoiled jackasses. If you like Bane, you'll like that movie. Let's move on to another movie that I think really established comic books as the comic book film as something to look out for. Sin City. Remember that came out in the early 2000s and really opened up a lot of people's eyes to the artistry that could be a comic book movie. And you can also open up a lot of people's eyes to, you were just asking me kind of about the authenticity of a comic book movie, about the adaptation, about whether or not it was loyal to the source material. Sin City is like, it takes Frank Miller's work and literally uses it as a storyboard. You can follow along in your comic book as you're watching the movie because it just follows it to a fucking
It's pretty impressive.
Very impressive, and a very very good movie, stellar cast, and completely the most innovative movie Robert Rodriguez has ever made, and Quentin Tarantino guest directed on that, and you can tell which scene it is. The scene with the Benicio del Toro talking with a fucking gun stuck in his head. Like it's really cool. It's a really cool movie. I'm not sure if it aged too well. I remember liking it a lot more when I was a kid. Either I outaged the movie, or the movie didn't age well. But I can't sit down and watch it like now and go like, oh, I lost interest. But when I was younger, when it first came out, that was my fucking shit. I was really into that movie. But we do have to give it credit where credit's due, and that's the fact that it made people look at obvious comic book movies in a new light. It also wasn't a superhero movie. It also revitalized Mickey Rourke's career, which is excellent to see him back in action. A lot of good things happened because of that movie. Sin City 2, they waited too long. They waited until exactly nobody gave a fuck. They should have made the sequel when people were actually clamoring for it, as opposed to like 10 years later when no one wanted to see one anymore. And it's just like, what are you doing? But Sin City, it actually did some good things for the actual artistry and technical sensibilities of a comic book film. Let's move on to Watchmen, which is a bit controversial here. Zack Snyder, of course, who we've already talked shit about so far in this podcast, made Watchmen, and I think he made it terribly. We were just talking about being very loyal to the source material, and Watchmen is, to an extent, incredibly loyal. But what it misses is is the meaning of the actual fucking comic book. Is like the overarching philosophic sensibilities of the actual comic book itself. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a character repeating the same exact lines, if you have failed to locate and extract the actual meaning of the lines behind it. Like, I refuse to accept that, because when you're done with Watchmen, you don't ever want to read a superhero book again. It's supposed to kill the superhero, because it just kills the genre. It deconstructs superheroes and it kills the genre. I refuse to believe Zack Snyder understands that concept when he uses slow motion to make these superheroes look cooler than they are, like an overweight night owl, like in slow-mo, making love to like Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. It's not ironic, it's just Zack Snyder completely missing the mark on what Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons were trying to illustrate with their extremely, extremely monumental work. Did you watch Watchmen?
Yeah, I've seen the movie, and this could have been just because like that movie did come out when I was younger, and I wasn't as open minded when I was younger. So when I watched the movie, by the end of it, I had no idea what I watched. I don't know if that's the movie's fault or my fault.
Everyone will go back to the opening title sequence, and I'll agree that Times Are Changing, Bob Dylan song, and communicating a lot of information that way was pretty good. There are good moments of directing in it. It's just that Zack Snyder refuses to hone his craft into sophisticated or mature themes. And we have some good performances by Jackie Earle Haley playing Rorschach. I thought Matthew Good as Ozymandias was good, was very passable, very decent. And good Lord, Jeffrey Dean Morgan as the comedian, very good performances. Billy Crudup as Dr. Manhattan. You'd be hard-pressed to find a poor performance in the movie, but none of these actors, no one in a Zack Snyder film ever acts lifelike. And no one in a Zack Snyder film ever seems to understand what the words that they're regurgitating actually mean. Because I don't think Zack Snyder pays any attention to that. He just pays attention to making his movies look as close to a video game as he possibly can. And Watchmen is far too complex and sophisticated of a narrative work to be boiled down to just of what he did, which is just he made an epic superhero movie. Superhero shouldn't have been involved in the title of that. I just think it completely missed the point of the book, point of the source material. It's a rare instance of being loyal to what is on the page, of being completely oblivious to what it all means. And then, yeah, it sucks. We get to two movies here, Road to Perdition and A History of Violence. Road to Perdition is all right, made by Sam Mendes, starring Tom Hanks and Jude Law. Like hitmen in the Prohibition era, and it's a pretty good comic book adaptation. Not a lot of people know it's a comic book adaptation. Same with The History of Violence, a Cronenberg film starring Mortensen and a way too beautiful and gorgeous Maria Bello at her age, and another really violent movie. Great performance by William Hurt in it. He was nominated for an Oscar. I think he should have won, even though he was only in for 10 minutes. Incredibly entertaining. Like, come on, Joey! I can't do it, but that was a good impression of what he does for like 10 minutes. It's really exciting. Both of those, and not a lot of people know that they're comic book movie adaptations. A History of Violence is kind of weak around the edges. It was kind of when Cronenberg was getting his groove back, and he did finally get it back with Eastern Promises, and he made afterwards with Vincent Cassel and Viggo Mortensen again. That's a really good movie. A History of Violence is getting back on the saddle after a few misfires, and it's okay. It's okay. It's not too good, and I do kind of blame the comic book adaptation part of it. And Road to Perdition, not a big Tom Hanks fan. I like Jude Law a lot in it, and Sam Mendes does pretty good with the source material. Now we're on the Ghost World. Did you ever see that movie? Ghost World?
A lot of movies on this list I haven't seen.
Don't quote me on this. I do think that Ghost World the screenplay was written by Daniel Clowes. So that's a cool instance of having the actual writer of the book itself come back. And I'm a huge Daniel Clowes fan. I love the Ghost World, which you actually showed me. You're the one who showed it to me in the hospital, the original Ghost World series or graphic novel.
Oh, yeah. Is that the... that's the one where the two teenage girls just talk shit about other girls.
Yes, and in the movie, it's Thora Birch and Scarlett Johansson, and Steve Buscemi has a very good role in it as well, much more fleshed out for the film. And I think Ghost World is both a good movie and an even better comic book. It's one of my favorite comic books I've ever read. I don't know, I just find something so loving, adoring, and pretty funny. Pretty funny about the book, and the movie is pretty good too. Let's move on to Spawn. Do you remember Spawn?
I remember bits of Spawn, and I remember thinking that Spawn was like the coolest thing.
Who didn't think Spawn was like the coolest thing? Then when you revisit it, you're like, whoa, what was I thinking?
I don't know. But I remember when that movie came out, I wanted every single toy.
Oh, God. Todd McFarlane made the best toys.
Todd McFarlane still makes the best toys.
Did you ever watch you're into animation. Did you ever watch the Todd McFarlane, run animated series of Spawn that appeared on HBO in 1997 or 8?
Not, actually watched it. I've seen it, though.
I have it on DVD back there. Fantastic animated series. Excellent. Batman the Animated Series levels of this is what the comic is. This is awesome. This is so fucking cool and dark, and HBO put it on.
Yeah, that's saying a lot for that time, for real.
Keith David being the voice of it as well. And Todd McFarlane introduces every single episode too. Have you ever thought about death? I think about death all the time. Turn off the lights. It's Spawn time. And you're like, this is awesome. This is awesome.
Turn off the lights.
You're
It's
like,
Spawn
I
time.
charismatically challenge Rod Serling.
Oh my God.
Spawn, bad. He's been trying to make a reboot or a sequel to it for a very long time. John Leguizamo let that movie have it, dude. He let it. He was the clown. He gave it everything he had. Spawn just don't really know why the movie didn't work. I know poor choices for effects. If you want to watch Spawn, you should always just go for the HBO animated series and get your kicks and your fix that way. Because the movie itself, not worth revisiting, really isn't. I like Spawn. I like Image Comics. I wouldn't watch that movie again, though. I just stick with HBO show and the original books. Let's move on to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Craig.
Now that is definitely something I can actually give some input in on.
All right, let's hear some.
Okay, like, I've never even touched a Ninja Turtles comic book. Because for the longest time, I thought it started off as a cartoon.
Well, it's weird. Not a lot of people know about the Daredevil, like, satire roots that it had as a comic book.
Well, from what I hear, it started off as, like, they were all Raphael, basically.
I mean, they all had, like...
Red
yeah.
bandanas.
And it was in black and white, like, too. Well, it started off as a Daredevil. They made fun of Daredevil. I mean, you had the Foot Clan as opposed to the Hand, and, like, Shredder as opposed to, like, the leader of, like, the Hand Clan. It was just... They're making... And Stick as opposed to Splinter. Like, it was making fun of Frank Miller's Daredevil in amazing ways.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And it was dark and violent. What'd you think of the movies?
Man, which ones? The original ones?
The original ones.
Okay. They are... I'm so glad that I grew up with them. I'll say that.
Me too.
I don't think, like, if they came out, like, right now, they would be cheesy, and I would like them because they're cheesy, but I wouldn't enjoy them the way I did when I was growing up, because when I was growing up, those were so... They knew exactly how to sell to us. They knew exactly what their crowd was. They sold to us so well. Like, I think the only negative thing I can really say
is number 3.
No,
as a whole.
Well, I'm not even pointing out, like, a specific movie is, like, the biggest thing that just sticks out, and it was so horrible, was when Shredder created those 2 monsters.
Oh, God, and they weren't even Bebop and Rocksteady. What did he call them?
When I found out about Bebop and Rocksteady afterwards, I was like, dude, if these were in the movie, that would have been so
Why?
cool.
Why couldn't they just make them?
Bebop and Rocksteady are so cool.
Why couldn't they just make them Bebop and Rocksteady instead of what the fuck...
those characters fit the 90s so perfectly. Oh, yes. Like, that movie would have done just that much better. Those characters are really cool.
The first Turtles movie, excellent. Shredder, excellent villain. It built up excellently. You even got Sam Rockwell going menthol irregular because he was like, that was one of his first roles as like one of the teenage members of the fucking Foot Clan or whatever. It was awesome. Remember loving it. Casey Jones liked even more than the Turtles. Like, great movie. Shredder, exquisitely awesome villain. And you got number 2, and they refuse to use their weapons. You got a Vanilla Ice song. Some things start falling off. They makes those 2 babies. I'll still watch it. Still passable. But once you get the 3 and they go back to samurai times, I'm out.
Yeah, I still don't remember that movie. I guess it's not a big deal, right?
Oh, no, it's not a big deal. It's very bad.
It sounds pretty bad. Like, they went back in time?
Yeah, it's called Turtles in Time. Yeah, they went back.
I'm pretty sure there was a game about that, but I'm pretty sure the game was good.
Oh, dude, it's
the side-scroller beat 'em ups. You remember those as a kid?
Yeah, the games are awesome. Side-scroller beat 'em ups.
I heard a lot of
only
bad
Final
things
Fight
about the
can
new
beat those
ones.
games.
I heard bad things about the new ones.
Oh yeah, the remakes.
Yeah,
I have to.
The Turtles in Manhattan.
Yeah, it's just hard to make a remake of those. It's like just do like what they did with the Final Fight. Like just make it look crisper. Don't completely redo the entire thing. Fair to do it.
It looked so good though.
Yeah, but it wasn't. But then after Turtles 3, they made that CGI movie TMNT. Did you watch that?
It wasn't too bad, but it was weird.
It was weird.
Like it didn't make a lot of sense to me.
I didn't like it. Stay far away from
there was
it.
like magic.
Yeah.
And I didn't really get it.
And also, no Shredder, then I'm like that much less interested in what you're doing. I realize that Shredder needs to be in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or else I'm really not on board. I've realized that.
Shredder is a really cool bad guy. Like, he's a really cool, lame bad guy.
I don't think he's lame at all. I think he's scary as fuck. But okay,
In
then,
the new,
then we get into Michael Bay territory. I have not seen either one of those movies. Tell me about them.
I haven't seen them either.
I know Bebop and Rocksteady's in Out of the Shadows, though. That's what we were just saying we wanted. We should watch it. Get back to you guys.
We honestly should watch those movies, even like if we don't like them. The thing is that
Megan Fox.
When Transformers came out, I liked the first two because I was at the age where like that was relevant to like them.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as I got older and like I started deconstructing movies, I was like, these movies are really bad. They're just cool robots punching each other, and honestly, this would have just been better if it was less about the explosions. I don't know. Like, giant robots fighting will never stop being cool, but
eventually
there was just too much. There was just too much stuff. And honestly, my biggest gripe about the movies was, if you remember the first one, I'm going to just assume that they did this because of cost or something, but it was just hard to actually watch them fight. Like, you couldn't tell what was going on.
That's true.
Like, I remember there was a couple scenes where it was at night and you just couldn't tell what was going on at all.
But people always say, like, Michael Bay has made good movies. And I told you, I love action movies, even cheesy ones. I don't like The Rock. Not a good movie. People always say it's a fucking good movie. Just because Criterion puts out your movie doesn't mean you made a good movie. Armageddon, not a good movie. I have not seen a good Michael Bay movie. These don't exist. You're lying to me. The Rock is no Face Off. It's no Con Air. It's no Nicolas Cage. It's best. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Well, I'm trying to remember what Michael Bay movie I saw that was passable.
I can't think of one off the top of my head.
What was the one about those two like muscle heads that
really
like,
Pain and Gain? That wasn't good.
No, like I don't know. Like I didn't feel the need to turn it off while it was on, but I would never.
That was him making like an art house movie. He said it was his serious movie, and it was still fucking laughable.
I think the only reason like I didn't hate the movie was probably because it was based off a true story.
Maybe.
So like he didn't actually write it.
But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, do you think there's any saving that franchise? I think the time has passed for it. I think their time was 89 to 95, and I think their time has passed. I think they should retire the Turtles.
I don't know. The success of the Power Rangers movie could actually argue against that. And
it wasn't too successful, actually. It just failed in China, and they're not getting sequels.
Really?
Yeah. They were banking on making a lot in China. It made $3.3 million opening weekend, which is abysmal. It did okay over here. It's not getting sequels anymore.
Wow.
So far as the latest news I just read like yesterday.
That's crazy because like they just straight up.
They wanted to make 6 sequels.
They straight up made you believe that there definitely was going to be a sequel. I'm not going to say
that
the movie was great, but like it wasn't. I went into that movie expecting it to be bad but fun, but it wasn't horrible. It was definitely fun, but I don't want to say it was horrible. I just can't say it was horrible. It wasn't good. It just wasn't horrible. It was definitely not Power Rangers. It wasn't. You know, honestly,
I think the Power Rangers time has passed. I don't like this comic movies. See, we've been dancing around this a little bit. Nostalgia feels good. It hits the receptors and make you feel good. But I don't appreciate being sold my childhood multiple times and paying for my childhood multiple times.
I guess that's true. It honestly, the Power Rangers movie wasn't campy enough. Because that's what the Power Rangers is all about. It's campy and cheesy.
It's just pointless. They should retire both of those franchises. Say they had a good run and just leave them be.
I feel like Ninja Turtles could easily do a good video game series if they put their effort into it.
No one will.
Um,
Just retire them. Next on, we got 300. Remember 300?
yeah, it was insanely popular.
Insanely popular. Another Zack Snyder movie and another Frank Miller adaptation. I thought it was insanely dull.
It was. Like, I couldn't tell you what the story was because I don't think there was a story. I have no idea.
Like, finally, a movie for every, like, meaty-headed, empty-willed, stupid fucking retard to love. I don't know, dude. I hated that movie. And that's the aesthetic that he brought over to Watchmen. Like, that's how far you missed the mark, is you brought the 300 action aesthetic over to Watchmen. Like, no, those two styles may have worked for 300, but keep that shit away from Watchmen.
Crowds that would be into those two separate things.
Well, it shows how little he understands and grasps of literature. Let's just move on because fucking 300 sucked when we are watching our time to Kick-Ass, which I actually quite liked the first Kick-Ass movie.
Kick-Ass. Yeah, the first one was really good. The second one seemed to take... I don't even want... The way I'm going to say this sounds weird. It seemed like the characters themselves took themselves too seriously.
Oh, you mean the motherfucker? Yeah, they did. That second one sucked ass.
Like, the first one seemed to do exactly what it set out to do.
First one was just immediately likable, super charming, super fun. I thought everyone was great in it. Nicolas Cage, awesome. Chloe Grace Moretz, wonderful seeing you for the first time. And Christopher Mintz-Plasse, Mick Lovin did an excellent Red Mist, and I was actually excited for the cliffhanger part of that movie. And that totally failed to deliver for me. The Kick-Ass one was really fun.
Honestly, the first movie felt like someone put their heart and soul into a project for a long time, and then it came to fruition. And then the second movie was someone who saw that project and was like, what if this happened?
What if you had Jim Carrey in it?
What if this happened afterwards?
Oh, so fucking bad. But still, we'll always have Chloe Grace Moretz, that great blah, 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 Dickies song, and she's just cutting up fucking Jamaican drug dealers. Or Haitian, I don't know. I'm sorry, bros. Just awesome. Just awesome first movie. Great action set pieces, and kind of courageous R-rated, obviously teen-oriented action movie. And Mark Strong, great performance from him. He was the ultimate villain, the ultimate baddie. Great movie. I think Matthew Vaughn made it. I think he also made X-Men First Class and the Kingsman movie series now. He's pretty good. He's pretty good at action. Let's move on to Scott Pilgrim. Did you ever watch that?
You know what? That's one of those movies where you come in while other people are watching it and you sit down. You didn't see the beginning, though?
I don't like that movie series or the comic book series at all. Wannabe anime, manga bullshit. Don't like it. It's all about the Punisher, starting with Dolph Lundgren in the 80s.
We literally just glossed over that.
Yeah, well, we're pressed for time here. Spent too much time with the Turtles and Batman, I think. I don't know. Punisher, Dolph Lundgren. A lot of people don't know he started off the franchise in the 80s. He hardly knows a Punisher movie.
I don't remember that much about the Punisher. I just remember he took one of those, like, paper cutter things and used it as a weapon. That's pretty much the most I remember about that movie.
If the movie is not Face Off and, like, some highlighted John Travolta is the big bad of your movie, it's just not going to work. Tom Jane, too pretty to be the Punisher, and Warzone, too much of a shitty movie, and John Bernthal on the new Daredevil animated show is way too boring. They'll never find a good mix for a good Punisher, because they have to make sure Frank Castle is good, and they've never had a decent one. Never had a decent Frank Castle. You know what? He's a character who just seems to pine to be in a movie, and those are actually, like, the worst ones to have on screen. We were just talking in the car about, Max Payne as a video game hero is essentially a cinematic hero. He should make a good movie, but maybe it's those that are so close to cinema already that fail in adaptations because just something along the way makes it buggy. Let's talk about Daredevil. Ben Affleck's Daredevil.
Oh, well, that's what everyone talked crap about when they found out he was going to be Batman. So,
Although it was lovely
I
to
will
see that romantic psychodrama play out between Bullseye, Elektra, and Kingpin. Everything else was terrible.
I will say that I didn't like that movie, but I've got to say that Bullseye was fucking awesome.
Bullseye was fucking awesome.
Dude, I'll never forget the scene where he took the paperclip and he just wiped his hand over it a couple times and threw them all into that dude's head. Like, that was fantastic.
And Colin Farrell had a lot of fun with that. Big Colin Farrell fan. One of my favorite movies is Miami Vice, directed by Michael Mann. Keep dropping his name in this shit. Just sprinkle it all over it. Colin Farrell had a lot of fun in that movie. It really falls apart with... I refuse to believe Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner were married because their chemistry is like... The fight scene at the playful, flirty fight scene, it's more about like exercising than fighting and like the playground between the two of them because that's... Oh, God, it's so nice. Oh, God. Actually, that movie fucking sucks. Joe Pantoliano couldn't even save it. Move on to another movie that fucking sucks. I think the same director, Mark Steven Johnson or something. Ghost Rider with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, gosh.
Less said about that, the better. Eva Mendes, great to look at. No, fuck that movie. That movie sucks.
I thought the character looked cool, but that was it.
That's actually it for the comics, too. He has no good stories. Whether we're talking about Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch, he's just...
Cool?
Yeah, Sal from Comic Pop calls him a great tattoo. And that's all he is. He's a great tattoo. That's it.
Wow.
He has nothing else going for him.
That's pretty insulting.
Very insulting, but incredibly true. He has nothing good for him. Wes Bentley, though, was probably the worst part of the Ghost Rider, playing Nightmare or whatever the fuck. Oh, God, dude. That one's giving me a headache. We're into some bad territory. Alan Moore, we talked about with, I don't know, we talked about V for Vendetta yet, which was okay. It was all right. It wasn't didn't have, once again, just like Watchmen, totally missed the actual meanings of Alan Moore's books. You know, totally missed the fascist anarchist meanings of the book. Totally missed it. And the book was really about people from their vignettes or their understanding of V from their own perspectives, individualistic. V for Vendetta is a good Wachowski brothers movie, not a good Alan Moore adaptation. But I think that Alan Moore is unadaptable because the next two we have From Hell, the Johnny Depp, Heather Graham, Jack the Ripper tale, and League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which Alan Moore actually wrote off on for some reason. The film version also killed Sean Connery's career. I do not think Alan Moore is adaptable. I think they should just let his work be and not try to put it to screen ever. I even think The Killing Joke, the DC animated movie, has recently even proved this even more. Just let his work die and don't ever try to adapt it. Talk about the Walking Dead television show. I think it fucking sucks. Everyone was raving about it. I watched the first 15 minutes of the first episode and went, wow, this is what people are into? Turn this shit off. This is fucking awful. This is garbage. Walking Dead is a garbage show, and if you watch it, you're a garbage person.
Yeah, I didn't like it myself either. My sister's a huge fan. I think, honestly, if you want, we could literally just create an entire other podcast about nerd culture.
We'll do that. The Walking Dead fucking sucks. The creator of the Walking Dead comic book, though, I believe he also creates Invincible, a hero for Image, and that's a pretty good character, so it's not talentless, people. Just wanted to say that. But you are a garbage person if you like that show, or the spin-off show. They're both fucking terrible. It's about Garfield, starring Bill Murray. Garfield? Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's fair to bring up because it did start off as a comic strip.
That's right.
So, that movie to me it fits right alongside Big Mama's house. It's literally where it belongs.
It belongs in a dumpster fire. Let's move on to Fantastic Four. All of those also belong in the dumpster fire. I love the Fantastic Four.
Does anyone really remember the Fantastic Four movies? That's the real question.
There's one in the 90s, the 2000s, and then 2010s we just got one. All of them are terrible. All four are fucking awful. I love the Fantastic Four. Reading a great John Byrne era Fantastic Four comic book is like it's Twilight Zone levels of Gene Roddenberry levels of this is fun to think about. This is cool. Fuck yeah. All the movies suck. Julian McMahon should have been a good Doctor Doom. because he essentially played a heartless doctor as Christian Troy on Nip Tuck for fucking 6 years, and then once you give him the ultimate Mad Doctor, he fucking
Dr.
fails.
Doom even Doctor Doom in the movie? That's the real question. Like, that didn't make me feel like... He just didn't feel like a super villain.
Oh, no, he
just felt like a bad guy. And that was it. Like, he was just a guy with a mask on, and it wasn't a super villain to me.
Fuck that. Dr. Doom is supposed to be one of the best villains of all time.
Oh, yeah.
You'll never see the Fantastic Four get their due. Fox should relinquish the rights, but then even if Marvel tries to implant these characters or transpose them, superimpose them into the Marvel universe, they will fail because modern audiences have been given too many chances, have given the series too many chances, and it's failed on them this many times. It's not even poor X-Men level. It's not even X-Men Origins Wolverine levels of bad. It's even worse than those. Every single one of those movies are fucking awful. And Doctor Doom really should have worked. That's why it's so sad. Let's move on to Old Boy. Did you ever watch Old Boy?
I don't believe so, no.
It's a piece of shit, overrated movie. Sorry, y'all. Wanted?
I did see Wanted, and I remember at the time there were things about the movie that I thought were really cool. I honestly feel like if the comic book is really good, then I'd probably love that comic book. Because I feel like the movie was...
okay.
I feel like the movie almost hit something I was looking for. I don't even know what that something was.
It's funny seeing Chris Pratt in that small role on there as a guy who's banging James McAvoy's girl behind his back. Gets hit in the face with a keyboard on his way out.
That was a cool scene.
And that was Chris Pratt. Like, that was like, oh shit, that's before I even knew him as Andy. Angelina Jolie, wicked hot in that movie. Some awesome action set pieces in it. It was all right. It was fun. It was passable. This next one, not all right, not passable.
I'm pretty sure you can't do that with bullets, though.
You mean make them move?
Make them spin.
The Wachowskis would beg to differ, man. Let's move on to The Phantom. Piece of shit, awful Billy Zane movie. I do love me some Treat Williams, but this was not a treat. Did you ever catch The Phantom?
No.
Do not catch The Phantom.
I don't even know what The Phantom is.
Let's move on to Time Cop, the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, based on a really, really short run of comics. Actually, remarkably close to it.
Oh, wait, okay. I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. Also, is that the one where he has to wipe his ass with a seashell?
No, that's Demolition Man. Demolition Man way better than Time Cop.
Okay. Which one's Time Cop?
Time Cop sounds a lot funner than it is. Jean-Claude Van Damme, it's more in the vein of Minority Report or something like that than Demolition Man. Demolition Man is a lot of fun.
That movie was pretty good.
We save that for different podcasts. Also got RoboCop and Tank Girl. What'd you think of Tank Girl?
I didn't get to see Tank Girl.
Pretty fun.
I remember RoboCop. Cool. I remember RoboCop being really...
First RoboCop is excellent.
The reboot was horrible.
Oh, yes.
That was like a train wreck.
We actually have a podcast coming up with best and worst remakes and reboots. Reboot of RoboCop's definitely on there under worst. But Paul Verhoeven's first RoboCop film is excellent, ultra-violent satire of popular 80s iconography. It's great. Move on to The Fountain, which turned into a Darren Aronofsky self-gratifying, self-masturbatory jerk-off fest with himself. We get Men in Black.
I enjoyed Men in Black.
I enjoy Men in Black too, actually. Yeah.
I don't think I disliked any of the movies either.
Yeah, not completely. I mean, people talk bad on certain aspects of them. I'm like, dude, they're Men in Black movies. Like, what are you wanting?
They're just fun.
Yeah, what are you wanting besides clear fun? The first one's obviously the best, the funniest, the jokes still hit the hardest. But come on, what are you trying? Even like Men in Black 3, I think that Josh Brolin does an amazing Tommy Lee Jones impression. Thought it was fun. Crispin Glover as Andy Warhol, something I've always wanted to see. So good job, Men in Black. You do a good job. It's also, I'm not a big Will Smith fan, and I adore him in that movie. Those movie is very good. Remember Bulletproof Monk, Chow Yun-Fat, and Sean William Scott? Best Left Forgotten. How about Cowboys and Aliens, the Jon Favreau movie starring Daniel Craig and Harrison Ford and Paul Dano?
I'm pretty sure I liked it when I saw it, but I'm pretty sure I would hate it.
It's an awful movie. We can just mention Weird Science real quick. Cowboys and Aliens, awful movie. Don't watch it. Just a cash grab piece of shit movie made by Jon Favreau. Actually did a really good job making Iron Man, who just all of a sudden forgot how to make good movies. Weird Science, excellent John Hughes movie. Beautiful woman, hilarious kids, whatever. Got The Mask, starring Jim Carrey. Did you ever read those comics?
No, I did not. I saw the movies, though, for sure.
The comics are wicked dark, wicked violent. The Mask, like, fucking kills innocent people.
Honestly, that's easily viable. That seems like the kind of character that character's uncontrollable.
Well, in the book, like violent, like serial killer levels of uncontrollable.
The Mask, if the, what is it, the second or third movie, I can't remember, the one with the other guy who gets the mask.
Jamie Kennedy, Son of the Mask. That is a piece of shit movie.
It was really bad, but like the whole like Loki thing, if that's really where the mask is supposed to come from, then that makes 100% sense that you would just kill random people for no reason. Like, that's just a Loki thing.
That's true. The first Mask will always hold a place in my heart because I was a kid when that came out. We all quoted it in school. We all loved it. So fuck you. That's nostalgia working overtime for me. Mask works in my book. 30 Days of Night. Remember that?
I thought it was a really cool concept. I didn't really care for the movie that much. It was a really good concept though for vampires.
You gotta love the concept.
Put vampires in Alaska, where you literally get an entire month of no sun, and that sounds like fucking carnage.
I think that everyone there gave it their all. I didn't think it was uninspired movie making. I don't think the talent was there. I think it was a bunch of people giving it their all, but they all fell short of the talent. I know it's a big insult, sounds like, but I don't think the filmmakers were truly capable to bring that story to life.
Yeah.
I think that maybe it should get another go-around in about 10 years. I wouldn't mind seeing a redo, trying it over again, because, like you said, there's a lot to mine out of that concept. I think there's gold there. Let's move on to Blue is the Warmest Color. Did you ever watch that?
No.
Fun art house movie about lesbians. Just really good. I won't spoil anything. A decent movie. Check it out. Criterion actually put out a version of it. Criterion are the best. Criterion and Scream Factory together are the best manufacturers of Blu-ray and physical media discs. And they put out Blue is the Warmest Color. If you're going to watch something, please give money to that company. Howard the Duck.
I have a lot of friends who are like obsessed with that.
Really?
Character. Like, they think that character's fantastic.
Where have these people been hiding? I've not met any of these Howard the Duck obsessed people.
I got really big into like tabletop role playing games and the community. Like, it's just a vast community in the first place. So you're just gonna run into people. There's a lot of weird people in that community. They like the weird, like, who was that director you said earlier? Cronenberg, isn't he known for like really, really weird monsters?
He was known for body horror and like over sexualized horror elements. Yeah, made Videodrome scanners. Crash.
That movie is fucking weird.
Well, we can talk about Videodrome on a different podcast.
Yeah, for real.
Let's move on to The Rocketeer. Where I stand on Howard the Duck is actually, how about this? No opinion. No opinion whatsoever. He's whatever. He's Howard the fucking Duck, man. When I do talk shit about him, no. He's fun. The Rocketeer, did you ever see that?
No, I'm not 100% certain if I am remembering the right thing.
Gold mask. I believe Timothy Dalton was the villain. I think Disney put it out even. I think they're remaking it. And every anti-SJW is freaking out because I'm pretty sure they're using an African-American woman. Because everyone cares about the Rocketeer now all of a fucking sudden. The sanctity of the Rocketeer's fucking velvet skin. I don't give a shit. The Rocketeer sucked. R.I.P.D.
I did not see it, but God, the commercials look bad.
The video game was awful. Did you ever play that?
No.
I don't know why I did. I had a demo. Don't ever play that game. R.I.P.D. is literally Jeff Bridges phoning it in and Ryan Reynolds proving that he's box office poison in everything he's in besides Deadpool. Imagine if Deadpool failed. You would have no more Ryan Reynolds and I would be a happy motherfucker, but it did good. R.I.P.D. was terrible, but not as bad as The Spirit. Frank Miller directed The Spirit. Had Sam Jackson, Eva Mendes, Scarlett Johansson in it. Gabriel Macht or something plays The Spirit. You love Will Eisner. I love Will Eisner. It's based on his comic strip, his comic book series. It just looks like Sin City. Somehow Frank Miller missed the mark on what the spirit of The Spirit. The Spirit is so fucking bad. And Will Eisner is rolling over in his grave somewhere. And then we're not going to talk about every comic book movie ever. We have the Green Lantern next, because I'm just not done talking about how much Ryan Reynolds sucks and reminding you.
Oh my god,
that Ryan
movie
Reynolds
was
is a terrible person.
so bad. And you want to talk about CGI that just will not age. And it wasn't even good when it came out.
No.
God, that movie was so terrible. And my dad loves it.
What does he love about it?
Man, my dad's got a horrible taste in movies and great taste in movies. It's weird.
I love Peter Sarsgaard, actually. He's one of my favorite actors. He always has great moments. He's even terribly used in that movie. He's even terribly off the mark. He plays the scientist, whatever. He ends up getting the huge head.
Yeah, I hated that.
So bad.
I hated everything about that.
So bad. Mark Strong. Well, you can tell that they wanted to make the Sinestro Wars movie. And that, like, they were just honky-dory going through the motions of making the origin.
You want to know what... Okay, I've had a couple movies that feel like they've had this problem, and this movie was really big about it. It felt almost like they had limited... Like, they didn't go out of their way for scenery. Like, they just wanted to film it as easily as possible.
Yeah.
Like, there's no iconic scenery, like, settings. The settings all sucked. Like, nobody cares. It's like you're in some building.
Yeah.
You're on some balcony.
They couldn't even make the Abin Sur passing of the gauntlet, passing the torch meaningful. No, fuck Ryan Reynolds, fuck Green Lantern, and fuck almost every DC movie that's not Batman.
It's just so dumb because the Green Lantern would be such a badass series.
I know, and it's also
especially
confusing
if they went into the Red Lanterns.
Well,
Holy!
They followed in the Green Lantern movie. They followed Jeff Johns' Secret Origins pretty well, pretty faithfully, and Jeff Johns had a run that most people adore. Maybe Green Lantern's just unadaptable. Maybe not every fucking comic book has to be a movie, you guys.
Can I get your opinion on one?
Yes.
And it's because I think with the type of comic book it is, the movie was exactly what it needed to be. And that's Guardian of the Galaxy.
Don't like it.
You didn't like it?
Mm-mm.
Dude, that movie was fun. It's literally all it was.
But that goes back to that formula of just... Well, it came too late in the game for me. I was already uninterested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe by Phase 2.
Yeah, but unlike the other series, it just felt like... Okay, like, with Iron Man and Thor and Spider-Man
But
and stuff like that.
I refuse to take uninspired 80s tropes and accept them as in any way authentic, innovative, or fun. You brought nothing to the table, Guardians. You brought me Chris Pratt as an action star. That's not enough. And for some reason, every time they need some ambiguous raced woman, they just get Zoe Saldana with her anorexic skinny ass, throw her in some green, and throw her on my screen. I'm not interested in that movie. That movie was very poor, very bad. It played shamelessly on all of the receptors that appreciate nostalgia for 70s and 80s space operas as well as 70s and 80s action movies, but didn't do them with any heart or any soul, any creativity. Don't like it. Don't like it at all.
I guess that's fair. Sometimes I like to go into a movie and turn my brain off though. So.
Oh yeah, me too. But I've already mentioned, we already talked about the Turtles. We talked about plenty of movies here that you could turn your brain. I'm not an elitist when it comes to like just simple fun.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot of movies here that are stupid that I have defended. The Mask was the last one I think that I just defended outright. There are comic book movies I haven't seen. I still want to. Doctor Strange, being a big Benedict Cumberbatch fan and a big Doctor Strange fan, I'd love to see it. See if they did well.
I do want to see how that went. I still haven't seen that either. Like, there's so many movies I just haven't seen recently.
Well, you close your eyes and turn around, there's like 5 new comic book movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
I did see Logan in theaters. I mentioned how great that was. I'll get that. We'll watch that, and I'll show you just... Fucking Mark Miller couldn't even do as good a job as that. Mark Millar or whatever. Not interested in the new Wonder Woman movie because DC does not know how to handle anything, let alone they kind of scare me being the ones handling. I mean, by the time this podcast goes up, that movie would probably be out by then. I don't think that comic books handle women correctly, and let alone something like a DC universe can handle a woman as powerful as her. And everyone's on the Gal Gadot train. Weak ass model. I'm not down with that as my Wonder Woman. I'm not interested in that coming out. So we didn't talk about every comic book movie, but we covered quite a bit of them, and we didn't even find out what makes them work. Sometimes they work, but I think the most important thing to remember is that not every one is going to be great. It's like when a great music scene is founded in Seattle or Berkeley area, Bay Area, and you sign every single band. Not every band's going to be good just because they sound the same way or come from the same area. There are certain comic book characters, comic books you shouldn't try to adapt. Certain things are unadaptable, and there are other franchises you should just let die because it gets pretty embarrassing. I think comic books could be a great source of inspiration or material, but every movie that we just named, I don't think any of them are necessarily better than the source material. I think you could always get more out of the actual comic book itself. So I guess overall, comic book movies are failures because they don't actually surpass their source material. They don't transcend it. So overall, maybe comic book movies are failures, but I like quite a few of them.
Yeah, they serve a different purpose.
They do.
For sure.
We'll tackle that more later. Ending on such a down note, but we are strapped for time here. And just wanted to talk about comic book movies, see where we stand. You can see how much of assholes me and Craig are. I mean, I'm sure we just talked shit about a lot of your favorite comic book movies. But, like I said, if you like The Walking Dead, you're a garbage person. So thank you for listening to the Nightcrawler podcast, and we'll be back to talk about awesome action movies, awesome Miami Vice, a lot of cool stuff. Have a good one.